Hello, my name is Valarie Edwards, and this is my project on the Instructional Systems Design Model. This slide will go over the history of the ISD model. The ISD model was created by Robert Gagne in 1965. The four reasons why this model was created are listed as learning experiences, learner needs, learning objectives, and teacher success. Mainly, the purpose of this ISD model is all about creating learning experiences that will develop and enhance skills and knowledge. And through that, looking at these four areas will ensure teachers and students are both successful inside of the classroom. This slide is going to go over the personal characteristics of the ISD model. We will look at understanding, solutions, methods, organization, and the student-centered classroom environment. Understanding. How do we know our learners and our content, along with teaching strategies? As far as solutions, educators, we can ask ourselves, how do we design a lesson that is purposeful? Also looking at the end results. What could be done better next time? When we look at methods throughout this PowerPoint, I will briefly discuss adding. As far as organization, that's a bigger question. That's looking at the school, the district, the county. When it comes to students in the classrooms, are we putting our students in charge of their learning? Are we allowing them to lead and follow? Very briefly, I will discuss the different learning environments that are key within the ISD model. Formal is when the teacher or department sets the goals and objectives. We are guiding instruction, whether it's through presentation or mini lesson. Informal, the learner sets the goals and objectives. Let students make and develop sub-objectives for the main standards or learning outcomes. Non-formal can be seen as the supervisor or administrator deciding the goals or learning objectives for learners. This is not a bad idea and sometimes refreshing, as an outside person looking in can help both students and teachers be successful. As I was conducting my research on the instructional system design model, it was hard to avoid ADDIE. Now, throughout this presentation, I will not discuss ADDIE thoroughly. However, it seems to, in order to talk about the ISD model, you must highlight ADDIE. And ADDIE, once again, is a model that focuses on analyzing, designing, developing, implementing, and evaluating instruction. With ADDIE, it's a step-by-step procedure to designing instruction. It helps a teacher, trainer, or facilitator to look at data, to look at content, and appropriately align with those objectives, standards, or learning outcomes for results. When it comes to ADDIE within this instructional process, it's also very helpful because it provides, or it can be seen as a roadmap for teachers inside of the classroom. When using the ISD model to design instruction, there are three things that I focus on: purpose, student success, and developing instruction and aligning objectives. For purpose, what do I want my students to know? What do they already know? And this can happen through pre- and post-assessments, observations, and questionnaires. With student success, this is when a teacher looks at learning outcomes and objectives. You might want to ask yourself, what will be my main method of delivery? What do I want my main takeaways to be? For developing instruction and aligning objectives, you have to look at the time frame per class, per unit. Will the kids be working together or in groups? The next few slides will show examples of the ISD model inside of my classroom. I am a fourth-year teacher. I teach a cybersecurity pathway, and the course that I'm going to highlight is going to be that of Intro to Digital Technology. This first learning outcome is set by the state of Georgia. It is one of the standards for IDT. It is IT IDT 8. Create and organize web pages through the use of a variety of web programming design tools. This first student sample is of that of a web page design using Notepad++. Under the ISD model, I use a learning objective set by the state, developed a pacing guide of about 8 weeks for this web design unit. The purpose was getting students to master the concepts under web design so that they would be prepared for their SGM, which is a student growth measure, at the end of the year. The second standard was also set by the state of Georgia, and it was the programming learning objective for the coding unit within the IDT course. As mentioned in the previous student example, the learning objective was used, which was guided by the state of Georgia. In teaching my students how to code, several mini lessons were conducted. The students were put in teams. The students worked in groups to be able to focus on vocabulary and the skills needed to be able to learn how to code. These steps of the ISD model, once again adding, can be used whether you're in a formal, non-formal, or informal learning environment. I also believe that these steps of the ADDIE model will help an instructional designer, teacher, facilitator to solve human performance problems that will lead to effective learning and knowledge retention inside of the classroom. The images that you see below represent that of the ISD system. When it comes to that of the instructional model of ISD, it's all about problems inside of the classroom with learners. How can teachers meet these needs and solve these problems? And following these steps, going through this process, will help a teacher get larger gains inside of his or her classroom. Thank you for watching and listening to my information on the instructional systems design model.